All right, here he is, the great stand-up comic and former host of That Metal Show, Don Jamieson. Don, what's going on, my man? Good to see you.
Get my day started with you today, and it's going to be another week of getting the word out about the new record. And I appreciate you having me on for a little while.
Yeah, man, of course. As soon as we finish up here, I'm going to go be a follower and watch this eclipse that everybody's talking about, because I'm right in the path of it. I guess, you know, I live in the middle of nowhere, and these fucking farmers around here are selling tickets to watch it in their field for like $20. I mean, they're making money hand over fist on this thing.
Well, yeah, it's like the people who like live near like concert venues. They'll rent out space on their front lawn or in their driveway, you know, so people, because they know people that don't want to pay $30 for parking. So, you know, they let people, like at Sturgis. I don't know if you've ever been to the bike rally out there. Everybody that lives in Sturgis rents out their front yards for parking. So instead of paying, you know, $50 to park your motorcycle on site, you just park it in somebody's front lawn for $20.
Yeah, it's a great way for people to make money. I just can't believe people are making this big of a deal over something that's going to be like 3 minutes long.
It's going to get dark for about 30 seconds, yeah. And then it'll be like it never happened.
Well, let's talk about your new album, No Sleep Till McSorley's. It comes out on April 19th via Metal Blade, which I guess there it is right there. This is what, your fifth record on Metal Blade, I believe.
Fifth stand-up record, yeah. And Jim Florentine and I have a prank call CD with Metal Blade as well. But yeah, fifth stand-up CD. That's what this is, live stand-up recorded in New York City. And comes out April 19th. But of course, you can pre-order it now. Everybody knows the pre-order, the pre-ad, the pre-save, whatever it's called now. But there will be physical copies available as well.
What is the point of pre-saving?
The point of pre-saving is basically because you mostly don't sell physical, you know, copies anymore. Again, I got the box of CDs in today. I'm going to have them at all my live shows. And I'm also going to have vinyl. But the pre-save is just basically like a new way of calculating, you know, album sales, chart positions for the first week, because 80% people download stuff. So, you know, that's the reality of the world of music. I'm old school. I'm old. So I always want the physical product if I love something, especially vinyl. But it's a streaming world, baby. So that's where you're going to get most of your sales.
And this whole, before we start getting too deep into the new record, the whole relationship with Metal Blade came about from a tour that you did with Charred Walls of the Damned, right? Which is Tim Ripper Owens and Richard Christie. And it was that tour where you met Brian Slagel from Metal Blade.
Yeah. And he goes, I've never seen a comedian open for like a really heavy band before, you know, and he came to a couple of shows and, yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing back then either. I just wanted to go and party with my friends for a couple of weeks. I said, I'll just tell some jokes before you guys go on stage. And that was really the start of, you know, me doing that a lot now for like the last 15 years is, you know, obviously I do the comedy clubs and theaters and stuff, but I love going out with bands too. So that was the start of it. That was the start of my relationship with Metal Blade. Brian offered me a deal after that tour, and I've been with them since like 2011. So I'm honored, man. I mean, to be part of the Metal Blade family. Metal Blade's a brand that I grew up with that shaped the fabric of, you know, my musical life. So, and the fact that Brian's one of my close friends now is incredible.
Yeah, and it's just you and Jim, right? I think Jim Brewer was on there at one point, but now it's just you and Jim Florentine on the label as far as comedians, right?
Yeah, well, we're big tax write-offs, so he holds on to us.
Well, the venue that you recorded this new album at, McSorley's, I guess this is it really the oldest bar in New York?
Yeah, 1863 it opened, and still open today. And they've never done performances in there at all, other than having like, you know, maybe somebody up there singing Irish songs with an acoustic guitar or, you know, playing the accordion or something, but they've never done anything like this. So they're like, well, how would you do it? I go, you know, I'll have, you know, I got a crew of people, man, who can help me out. We'll build the stage. We'll bring the PA system in here. But to me, this is this type of material had to be done in front of beer drinkers and hellraisers because, this is like McSorley's is the kind of place, you go with people, you sit at tables with other people and you drink McSorley's ale and you solve all the world's problems. And that's what this album feels like to me. It's like you sit there and I try to solve humorously the world's problems. So I'm like, I have to do it at McSorley's. And so it really worked out exactly the way I pictured it.
Is it in the same location? Has it been in the same location the whole time it's been open too?
Yeah. Yep. It's like I said, been there since 1863. Abraham Lincoln famously drank at McSorley's. They have his chair up on the wall, and you'll see when the special comes out, all the wall. It's like a museum to New York City. Just old newspaper clippings about McSorley's and New York history, and they have so many cool old traditions in there. It's an old school place, big round or rectangular wooden tables and sawdust on the floor, so absolutely perfect for what I was looking for. And I've been going there for decades. So when I asked the owner if I could do my album there, I said, how much would it cost me to rent out the place for the night? And she's like, how long have you been coming here? I said, 30 years. She said, you paid enough.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
So was this like a ticketed event that people could come watch you do this, or was it just more of like a private thing, like an invite only type of thing when you recorded this?
Yeah, no, it was, the tickets were free, but I could, that's not a place you just go in and you set up the stage and start doing it in front of the regulars. Obviously, you want to make it a proper event, but it was funny. We did 2 shows that night. We record 2 shows, and about halfway through the second show, people started coming in off the street and looking in and like wondering what was going on. And so, I was sort of like, let them in. Let's see how they mix in with my fans, and it was good. It made for like a really fun, rowdy, good time.
That's incredible. And you said, so there's going to be video of this that comes out too?
Yeah. If my YouTube channel actually has the first single up there, where you could obviously hear it and see it as well. So my YouTube / Don Jamieson official, I think. I don't know.
I'll put a link to it in
Just
the
go to YouTube
description.
and type in my name and you'll follow me.
So obviously the name No Sleep Till McSorley's is a play on Motörhead's No Sleep Till Hammersmith, and I know you have a relationship with Todd Singerman, who manages the band. So in this case, not too difficult to obtain permission to use the Motörhead logo and the original album art, which I guess you were photoshopped into, and I know he graciously gave you permission, but when you're doing, because obviously this is yep, there it is. This is a recurring theme. Last time it was Saxon. You've done Judas Priest before. When you go and you're doing an album where the title and the artwork is sort of a parody of a classic live album, is there ever any pushback on it, or is everyone usually pretty receptive to letting you use logos and images and things like that?
Well, Biff from Saxon pretty much bullied me into doing a parody of a Saxon album, because he's like, all your albums are parodies of your favorite bands. You say Saxon's one of your favorite bands. Why don't you do a Saxon album? So and it was me and him having dinner one night, and I was like, I'm going through the album titles in my head, and how about Denim and Laughter? He's like, that's it. So everyone's been super receptive. You mentioned Todd Singerman, who's a phenomenal guy. A really big reason why Motörhead, eventually got the respect and the status that they've so deserved over the years. But I didn't take it for granted, Logan. I didn't think it was going to be easy. I just took a shot in the dark and asked Todd. First, I asked him if I could use the font, the Motörhead font for my name. And he said, anything you want. So, someone says that, then you up the stakes a little. And really, honestly, dude, thinking like he'd write back, ha ha. I said, how about the original artwork from No Sleep Till Hammersmith? And he wrote back, done. I'll get you a high res version of it this week. So, thank you to Motörhead Camp for being so cool to me over the years, but especially for this, because, what's on the packaging to me is important, and I love, obviously, the hard rock and the metal fans all get it, but you don't have to get it to enjoy what's on the inside. What's on the inside is for everybody who likes comedy or whatever it is I do. So, but if you get the layer of, you know, the band tribute, that's just a bonus. But the comedy, like I say, always, it's for everybody.
Well, and the connection with Motörhead runs even a little bit deeper on this album, because if I believe, if I'm correct, Phil Campbell does the intro and the outro on this record too.
Yeah, Logan, I was rolling that day, so I'm like, all right, I got Singerman on board, I got McSorley's on board. If we're gonna do this thing, let's do it right. And I'd become friends with Phil over the years, and his sons, who he has a band with, who are terrific, by the way, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons.
Yeah, they're great.
And I was on, yeah, really great. They have, I think, 3 full-length albums out, and they're all awesome. And they're great kids, and they're great musicians. And I was on tour with Phil over in Northern London, and I mentioned to him then that, it was time for me to do a Motörhead tribute on one of my albums, and I kind of threw it by him, and he seemed open to it. So when I texted him, he was like, whatever you want, mate, and he laid down some great riffs for me, and yeah, I'm just thrilled, man. Again, to me, all that stuff is really special to me. But I hope everybody enjoys, what's on the inside.
Your last album, Denim and Laughter, if I recall, had a sort of an overarching theme around PC culture. Is there any sort of theme on No Sleep Till McSorley's, or is it just kind of just all over the place?
There's an extension of that as well on this album, because that album came out in 2020. I recorded in 2019. As you know, man, the world has changed a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. So, I look at it like, man, I turn on the news every day, man, and within 5 minutes, I am in a boiling rage. So if I don't have, that's why I say I'm solving the world's problems on this album, because if I don't yell and scream about it on stage, I'm going to end up spending a lot of money on therapy. So I appreciate people letting me yell at them for 45 minutes or an hour and get stuff off my chest that I need to. But yeah, kind of the theme is like, don't put your faith in Hollywood. Don't put your faith in politics. Everybody, should be able to laugh at themselves. Don't take comedy too serious. And then at the end is sort of like, I end the set with a whole thing about music, and how music, is the uniter, and music is the healer, not all these other, just using the right pronouns for somebody, or misgendering, or this person is in this class of people and this person is, forget all that stuff. What unites us is music, and yeah, don't listen to the Hollywood phonies. Don't listen to the political phonies. Music is really the thing that unites us. Obviously, guys like you and me, we like the heavier music, but I make the point of, like, no matter what kind of music you like, that's the thing that really unites everybody. So I try to tie it up with a nice happy ending at the end.
Well, obviously your comedy is music centric. Obviously, there's other things like you mentioned, but previously to all this, you were a writer alongside Jim Florentine on Inside the NFL back in the day when it was on HBO, which I think you actually won an Emmy for, which is pretty cool. But had it not been for that metal show, do you think that you would have steered like so far into the quote unquote rock and roll comedian persona, or do you think you would have followed maybe just a bit more of a, I guess, traditional comedy career that where you weren't like I don't know if character is the right word, but you weren't just in bed with rock and roll. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's a good question, man. It's funny, early on in the history of that metal show, another fantastic comedian who's also a big metalhead is Brian Posehn.
Yeah, that's right.
And I had started doing some stuff about music in my act, but I'm like, metal's sort of an underground thing. People aren't going to really get it. And so I kind of did shy away from it generally. But Brian said to me, he goes, do you talk about, heavy music in your act at all? And I go, not too much. He goes, yeah, I didn't either for a long time. And then he goes, one day I just woke up and I'm like, wait a minute, this is such a huge part of my life. How am I not talking about this on stage? Because that's what comics do. They talk about the big things in their life. And that really stayed with me, when Brian said that. So, I think it's a combination of things. It was also people coming on that metal show, Dee Snider being the first one to come on and say, hey, Don, would you ever want to open for Twisted Sister? Because Dee's a big comedy fan. Dee grew up back in the day where, it used to be cool for a comedian to open for a band. And so, just sort of by that, I started doing it. I've been now doing that pretty steady for the last 15 years. I built a whole act separate from even what's on, No Sleep Till McSorley's that I just use for opening for bands. So that's become, a little cottage industry for me. And I really love it.
Are you, do you write for anyone or anything else at the moment? Or are you just kind of doing your own thing?
Yeah, occasionally, people hire me to write stuff, and I'm always down for doing that. I like sometimes being behind the scenes. I used to write for all the roasts on Comedy Central, but I guess you can't do roasts anymore because they're too mean.
Yeah. It's so fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So yeah, but once in a while. But no, like I've been constant. Here's the thing, man, too. Like, so you spend the time writing all this material. It takes a couple years to work it out on stage to where it's, close to perfect. You make an album. And unlike a band who wants to go out and play those songs, I got to start the uphill climb to the new material. Because when people hear this, then how, the rabbit comes out of the hat. The magic's kind of gone. So now I'm on the uphill slog to create a new 45-minute headline set. So right now, that's where all the writing is concentrated on.
It's crazy. I mean, obviously, I'm a younger guy, so I wasn't around back in the day. But I went and saw Andrew Dice Clay a few months ago, and I mean, obviously his nursery rhymes are like legendary. But I mean, it just blows me away how rowdy people get. They've been hearing these for 35 years or whatever, and he goes into it. I mean, it's like being at a concert and the band's playing their fucking biggest hit. I mean, people are like freaking out, I mean, it's like it's really remarkable.
If you're a comic and you could create a bit that people want to hear over and over again, you can make a career on that. Although Dice is incredibly prolific, like you go see Dice and then you see him a year later, he's got a whole new hour of material. But the fans, I opened for Dice for 10 years. I mean, the fans demand it. Yeah. And you're right. It's like Guns N' Roses getting to the end of the set and they come out and they play, Paradise City. It's like, they're not going to get out of the building alive unless they play that. And the nursery rhymes are Dice's Paradise City.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about That Rocks for a moment. Your newer YouTube show alongside Florentine and Eddie Trunk. I was so stoked when that finally happened because I don't know if it's just nostalgic for me. I mean, when I was a teenager, I would watch that metal show all the time. But there's just something so incredible about watching the three of you guys on it, and just the three of you. Honestly, I really prefer with no guests, just you guys talking about music. There's something about it that's just I don't know, man. It's just phenomenal.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. I was telling somebody the other day, I knew when we did that metal show that we were going to get the Metalheads because VH1 Classic was the only station playing metal videos.
Yeah, because they used to do that Metal Mania show, which was kind of like Headbangers Ball or whatever.
Yeah, so I said they're here already. I go, the people we got to get are the people on the outskirts, like the people who like, Bob Seger and Billy Joel, and and the way to get them is that they like us, like the music's close enough to what they like, but if they like us, they'll tune in to watch if we have a good thing together, and we do, man. And now years later, since that metal show's been off the air, for the three of us to then reconnect in this new digital format is, like it took a few shows for us to sort of figure out how to have our chemistry this way, because it was always on a set in a controlled environment. Now you got to do it on Zoom or whatever streaming platform you have, dealing with technical issues, which seems to be a through line to our show. And I agree, some of the best shows are the ones where it's just the three of us breaking balls, talking about music. We all have our own specific point of view about things. And those are just as fun too sometimes.
Well, you guys were going pretty strong, one episode a week there for a while, but I guess a few months back, it, kind of slowed down. Was that just due to scheduling conflicts, or are there plans to go back to doing weekly episodes?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be weekly, but they'll be steady throughout the summer. So for people who haven't seen it, it's called That Rocks, and you can go on YouTube again, type in That Rocks, and it'll take you to the page. There's probably about 25 or 26 episodes up there. We just filmed a bunch of interviews on the Monsters of Rock cruise, so we're sort of rolling those out now. The show will still be live with Jim and Eddie and I, but the interviews will be rolled into the shows. So you'll still get the live element, and you'll still get the interview. So yeah, some great guests coming up on that. And we just filmed a couple more. So yeah, we're gonna be going pretty strong, probably every couple weeks through the summer.
Eddie occasionally says on his Sirius XM show that every once in a while somebody comes around and sort of kicks the tires on bringing back that metal show. Since you guys started That Rocks, has there been any sort of discussion with anyone since That Rocks launched last year about potentially reviving that metal show, or no?
We don't own any of the rights for that metal show, which is why we had to create our own thing, with That Rocks. So, we kept the word "that" in there for the familiarity of, that metal show. But other than that, we had to change the segments, and which is fine. We created our own things, or just kind of renamed them a little bit and retweaked them. As far as that metal show, that's up to VH1 and Viacom. Yeah. But all we can do is just keep going forward. And, we love working together. We love doing shit together. We're still great friends. We were never not friends, so after all these years. But yeah, we were very close actually on a deal with a network that would have been perfect for That Rocks. But, fell through at the last minute, and, that's all right. You want to have a home where, they believe in you and they're going to stick with you, and, they're not just going to throw you up there and bail out on you after a couple episodes.
Sure. Well, and you guys, all three of you also do, don't you guys do like a holiday show every year at Dingbats in New Jersey, like a Christmas type of thing?
Yeah, we've been doing that for about 10 years now. So for people in New Jersey, the great rock club Dingbats up in Clifton, New Jersey. Freddie, the owner of that club, has been a dear friend of ours for many decades now. And yeah, we did. It's basically, like we get paid to drink with people for a few hours. And we have great tribute bands come in and play. Yeah, it's a big hang. It's a Christmas party. That's exactly what it is. And it's a lot of fun, man. We do that every year now, and we will continue.
You're also still doing that Jamieson show too, right? On Anthony Cumia's Compound Media Network.
I just finished episode 235,
wow,
which happened to be actually my last episode.
Oh,
yeah, I got. I'm moving somewhere else to do something a little different, which I can come back and talk to you about more when I'm allowed to speak about it. But yeah, I mean, God, that was for people. There's a bunch of free episodes on YouTube. Again, if you look up That Jamieson Show, you'll see some of my my interviews and stuff up there. But yeah, 235 episodes, 12 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, 2 Baseball Hall of Famers I had on the show. That was awesome to do that with Anthony and those guys. And, all the comics on that network are friends of mine. And that was a good challenge too, because I really learned how to interview with two other guys, right? With Eddie and Jim on a set. And I sort of had to figure out my own interview style when I did my own podcast. And, that it took a little while. Excuse me. It probably took about a good year before I really kind of got in a groove of how I want to kind of operate as an interviewer. But yeah, man, I'm proud of all those episodes and excited to unleash the next thing because it's really cool.
That is 235 episodes is a damn good run though. But this new project, I mean, is it something that'll come out in 2024?
Definitely, yeah, and it's rock related for sure. But there's other elements to it as well, and I have a co-host who a lot of people will know. And yeah, man, just that's a couple months down the road, but we have everything in place for it, and the team is put together, and everybody's working hard. And in the meantime, I'm out there plugging my thing, for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, it's going to be a good year, Logan.
Well, one last thing, you kind of brought it up earlier, but the terrifying telemarketers that you and Jim Florentine do. I mean, I don't know. It's just if it's just because I'm still a man child, but I mean, I just love it so much. I know it's only been about a year and a half or so since what is it, number 7? Will there be a number 8?
Well, it's always about how if people respond, yeah, of course, then there's always going to be more. I mean, thanks to Metal Blade, really helping and supporting me with my comedy albums. They've all luckily done very well, so I continue on whether people want my albums or not. But to actually score a #1 comedy album with Terrorizing Telemarketers, Volume 7, 2 middle-aged guys making prank calls for a living, and the album goes to #1. I mean, God bless America. What else can you say when when we can make a living doing this? So yeah, no doubt, there'll definitely be a Volume 8. That's to me, to have a #1 comedy album is an honor enough, but for it to be for such a childish, ridiculous thing makes it even more satisfying.
I don't know what it is, man, but I think I don't have them all, but I think I've heard most of them on streaming, and I own a couple. But number 5, I think, is number 5 the one with like the old, like the Western Wanted poster as the cover? Yeah. Oh my God, man! I mean, that is just some of the funniest shit ever on there. I love it so much.
Well, cool. Thanks. Yeah, people haven't heard any of me and Jim Florentine. It's Terrorizing Telemarketers. There's 7 volumes of material out there. So yeah, and once I get done with this and get my other project kicked off, and Jim's got a million things going on, which is so cool. He just shot another comedy special, and he's going to put out an album. So when all that dies down, we'll get back in Jim's basement and get back on the phone again.
Well, Don, what else do you have coming up? I'm sure you got a plethora of tour dates and all that stuff coming up.
Yeah, just for people can follow me on my social media, at Real Don Jamieson on X, and then Don Jamieson Official on Instagram, Facebook. Post all my dates up there. Like I said, if you're interested in a physical copy of the new album, I will have them at the shows, No Sleep Till McSorley's. And always touring all year round. There's no formal tour for this. It's just, be coming to a town near you hopefully soon.
Are the physical copies only available at your shows?
For the time being, yeah. When the vinyl comes out, I'm going to see if, maybe we can do it through the Metal Blade store. But yeah, for right now, but we're still trying to work out the vinyl thing. But that's going to be coming, probably a little bit later in the summer. So we'll have a little relaunch of that, and hopefully we'll get some of those in the Metal Blade store, but for sure at the live gigs.
Well, make sure you check out No Sleep Till McSorley's when it comes out on April 19th. Don, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it, and good to see you.
Yeah, man, we've known each other a long time, and you've always been, above and beyond, a supporter and a friend, man. So really appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, man. It is a little surreal still to remember being 14 years old watching that metal show, and somewhat knowing you. So I appreciate it, man, and hope to see you soon.